Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. In honor of today being the last show of the year, the last show of 2022.
Oh my gosh, it is, huh?
It is.
Jeez.
Happy New Year. I am so ready for you, 2023. We are going to just have a discussion about mistakes we've seen home buyers or maybe even home sellers, we could go there too, make in 2022 that you're going to want to avoid and not do in 2023.
So top mistakes.
Yes.
So we're kind of reviewing this year in an end. Is that kind of what we're doing?
In a way, I mean, this really doesn't have, I don't have anything planned. This is really off the top of our head. So whatever comes.
You do.
No, I don't have any.
So Audience, Mariah's always got something planned if you don't know that yet.
Whatever comes to your mind, whatever just comes into your brain as you think back over the last year, what mistakes have you seen buyers make that maybe somebody watching this who wants to be a homeowner or who wants to buy again could just benefit from hearing about, and so they don't have to end up making them too?
Well, the first mistake that I think that comes to my mind at least is when I was personally just showing home after home after home to my clients that were pre-qualified. We had the price range to stay in. They seemed to be super motivated, and we would submit an offer, but it never was like that full ask price. They always wanted a lowball for whatever reason or try to negotiate something, and I just really felt like the timing in that market that we were in, especially in the beginning of 2022, that was like one of those big mistakes. And I don't know if they were like just thinking that the market's going to crash like every headline's saying, or the recession's here and I'm trying to save, $7,000 or $20 on my monthly payment. Because that's the reality a lot of times when you want to negotiate and you won't buy something over $5,000, like a $5,000 difference between you and the seller in your offer. That's $5,000 to the seller, but ultimately on a 30-year fixed loan, not saying that I'm twisting your arm and saying you're stupid or anything like that if that's you, but the reality is you're really looking at a difference in a payment of probably $15 to $25.
Right.
How much
is
you're
it
looking
really
at
going to affect that payment? Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with my lender because this happens with them all the time, because they deal with the money. I'm more about getting the keys in the home, inspection period, that type of thing. And he has to have these come to Jesus moments with clients sometimes. And that's seriously what he calls them. And I love it. I met him about 4 years ago, and we were in one of those transactions where it was like, okay, Spence, we're going to have to come to Jesus with these clients. I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, the reality is this. And he went over the scenario and the difference in the pricing when it came to an interest rate or even the down payment that's going to affect the monthly payment. And it's all about the monthly right now, I believe. For first-time home buyers, a lot of the times they just don't want to feel overstretched because they're reverting back to even their childhood sometimes in that recession period, 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, leading out of that. And they have this fear in the back of their head knowing that they're not really ever going to foreclose on their house. No one plans to get a foreclosure. But the reality is there. What if they lose their job? There's a whole bunch of what if questions.
Yeah.
And those just drag me nuts. That makes me go so crazy in real estate transactions, especially when sellers give me these what if scenarios.
Oh, yeah.
But, I have to walk through that. That's part of my job as the professional because we've all been there as the real estate professionals. If you've closed transactions, if you've closed deals, if you've actually been in a transaction, if things go south or not. But I think that's a big mistake, though. When people lose a home over $5,000, $10,000, okay, we're getting a little bit different, but $5,000 and less, there usually seems to be we can find some type of solution, whether it's me dropping a commission, whether it's me coughing up $600 to pay for a home warranty out of my commission, or something. The seller might step up. There's always some type of creative solution that I'm looking to provide for my client. And if that's you out there, right now, it might be a good time to be doing that. It really could be. But the scenarios are always different. Some people wanted a home then. They needed a home. And then they signed a year-long lease agreement, and now they're interest rates rose 2 points. My mortgage is nowhere near affordable for me right now, the price range I want to be in. So now they're stuck in that lease agreement, and they really don't have a plan or option to move out now. They're kind of like, my hands are tied, and they're living, but they're not living to their full potential, if that makes sense.
I love that you bring that up, because I couldn't agree more. I think it is a little silly when buyers miss out on a home because of, a few $1,000 difference, because like Spencer said, at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is, can you afford that monthly payment? And if like even $5,000, for example, how the amount that's going to affect your monthly payment is like, you won't even notice it. It's that minimal in most cases. So I couldn't agree with you more. So I did think of I just came to my mind a mistake that I've seen a handful of buyers make over this past year that I've been working with. A handful of different buyers, different from different places and different situations in life, who I had been showing a lot of houses to. A couple we even got under contract at one point, and ended up just not purchasing a home over this past year. And we started looking at homes, the beginning of the year, and looked all through, but this was before the market changed and interest rates rose and things got less competitive. So when we were looking, things were still uber competitive for buyers, and prices were still like, crazy high, and you had to be very competitive if you were buying, but interest rates were historically low. And the reason why these buyers, the different ones that I've been working with, all of them, what they all had in common is the reason why all of them ended up not purchasing or backing out of the homes that they had under contract once they finally got something under contract. The reason they didn't buy is because they got cold feet about the market. They got cold feet thinking, well, everyone's telling me the housing market's about to crash, or I really think that prices are going to just plummet. And now a year later, or later even in the year, not even a whole year later, but just later in the year, interest rates are a lot higher, and things are so much less competitive for buyers. They're able to purchase a home without having to do all the crazy negotiations. But at the same time, they're the same home. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My thoughts are just jumbled. Okay, the same home they would be looking at. I'm just trying to think, how can I explain this in a way? You know what I'm going with this? So the same home they would be looking at for, let's just use $600,000 for example. They now can't afford that home a year later because the interest rates are higher, their payments higher, and what it all comes down to is monthly payment. So these families who I was working with, and they were on the verge, literally so close to finally becoming homeowners and giving up their high rent that I know they were all paying, and they gave it up because of fear. And now a year later, their payment would be higher for the same price, even though the market is more desirable in a lot of ways for buyers. So that is a mistake you don't want to make in 2023 is one, trying to time the market. I don't think it's even possible. I think there is absolutely opportunity, and there are pros and there are cons, no matter what the market is. I don't think you can time the market because nobody really knows what's going to happen. And there's so many different factors that come into play. And if you're trying to time the market, you might be waiting forever to buy. So trying to time the market is a mistake. And then also not buying because of fear. So
that's big, though.
If you're legitimately like, I don't think this is a good idea because I think I'm getting into over my head and I don't think I'm going to afford this payment, or, my life, things might be looking different, then yeah, don't back out of the transaction. I totally understand that. But if it's because of fear of like the market crashing, just focus on, can I make this payment? Like, is this payment affordable for me? That's what you need to focus on. So my rant's over.
No, that's good though, because it's realistic. That is a reality. That's what, clients run into. They run into all of the talk, like those big headlines, Facebook, especially when you're scrolling, what do you see? And it's politics. There's always an attention grabber. We just had Thanksgiving. We just had Christmas, and everybody always loves to talk to me as a real estate guy. I have cousins that come up to me and say, Spence, why haven't you bought more rentals? You're in the real estate market. Why don't you have more rentals? And I'm just like, you know what? Me personally, I'm just not there right now. If an opportunity comes up, yeah, I'm going to buy it. But for me, I haven't personally been seeking it. I haven't been seeking that outside deal with an independent party. And that's me going to a doorstep, knocking, finding the owner and saying, hey, you want to work a deal with this? Because generally for me, I don't see the best deals right now listed. If you're into the investment side for our specific area, that's just how it is. So that is the answer to that question. And we all have to position ourselves and be smart financially and be intelligent when we are looking at the economy and what's coming next. It could be 3 years down the road of the things I'm seeing right now and why I'm not spending money like maybe I would have 2 years ago. So there's a lot of wow factors when it comes to real estate in the market. But can I do one more?
Mistake?
Not even one more, but yeah, I want to do another mistake.
You do one more, and then I'll do one more.
Okay. So another mistake that I do see, though, is we get under contract, we construct an amazing deal, okay? Sometimes we get closing costs paid for, sometimes we get under asking price accepted. Sometimes in a certain market, it's great to win the bidding war when you have 5 other competing offers, and it feels terrific to win the bidding war. But we're in contract now. We have the inspection period next. The biggest mistake I see a lot of people once we are under contract is during this inspection period. And I mean this because they choose the wrong inspector. They do. I've had out-of-state clients, but I've had a client where I'm representing her, but then she calls her cousin that lives in Washington. Washington cousin gets on Google, types in best inspector near me, books that inspector because it was best on Google. And we get to the inspection period. A, they don't specialize in the particular home that we're trying to get inspected. B, they costed way more than it ever should have. And C, their report is hideous. Like they do a 100+ page report and they just tear into this home, and then it devalues the home, but it also devalues the motivation for my client, the buyer. Even though this home was completely purchasable, it's been being lived in. And personally, I go through a lot of homes and there was nothing wrong with it that we couldn't have negotiated, and they end up just backing out because of all of the issues supported by this licensed professional contractor that cousin found on Google that's rated number 1. So what I'm trying to say is my big point, maybe ask for a referral from your realtor. Hey, who's a good inspector you use for this particular area, for this particular home? Who would you recommend? What's their price going to be? Because if we don't know that answer, we are strictly not doing our jobs right. If I don't know who to refer you to when it comes to contracting work, inspection, appraisals, a lender, anything to do with the real estate transaction process, then I need to get my butt in gear and I need to create a better vendors list and do my job to provide you a better service with. So that is a big mistake, though, and that just happened, last month, a month and a half ago for me. And that's happened a few times, though, throughout the year of 2022.
Can I add something to that?
Please do.
So to add to what you were saying, I think also part of what you're trying to say is don't, if you're a home buyer, be scared away by a lengthy repair addendum, or not repair addendum, by a lengthy list of repairs, by a lengthy inspection report. And what I mean is I've been in transactions with buyers who were purchasing homes that were great homes for them. Any, buyer would just purchase them and be happy to buy this home. It was definitely not, fixers, not homes that had scary things wrong with them whatsoever. However, after getting the inspection report had a lot of things on it. The buyers didn't even ask the sellers for a repair addendum. They didn't even look into how much are these things really going to cost. They just backed out because they were scared. It gave them cold feet, not knowing that many of the things on the report were so minimal. Like some of them would be $10 to fix, like literally $10 to fix, where it's like, I know it seems a lot more scary and daunting if you just don't know what it even is. And so that I get that, but let's at least ask, especially in a market like we're going into in 2023. And right now, let's ask the seller. Let's ask for everything. Why not? The worst that can happen is they say no. Last year, we weren't asking for anything because they would laugh at you and then say, we have 2 backup offers already secured, so find something else. But right now, we can ask. And they might not say yes, but we can at least ask. So don't get scared away is what I have to say about that.
That's huge. And it reverts back to old markets that Mariah and I have lived through. Yeah. We haven't gone through that 07, 08, that time. But we were that new era broker that got in the business right after that. And so we have seen waves and market changes. And we know how to represent clients, and that's one of the cool things is we're always educating ourselves with the buying process and selling process, but ultimately that experience factor, it is kind of real. I mean, new agents, they don't know some techniques that I wouldn't consider us old, but people that have been in the game for at least a few years now have seen in previous transactions.
This is my 8th year. That makes me feel old.
No, seriously. There's Mariah's on her 8th year, and if you go through videos and just research, the percentage of brokers that fail within the first 1 to 2 years is incredible.
It's like 95%. You have a better chance of opening a restaurant and succeeding than staying in the real estate business within the first 5 years.
It's incredible. So the fact that we're still around, I consider us those people that have broke through the glass ceiling and are working their way towards something special. And real estate really is one of our passions, and that's why we do this. And it's a service that we do enjoy. We really love having this knowledge because we've been in it for so long now. It's like consumed parts of our lives, and we get to really pass that on to our clients for service.
Yeah, we're definitely constantly trying to stay up to date with what's going on and know so we can educate our clients in the best way. And we genuinely consider it a blessing and a joy and a privilege to get to work with every one of our clients. We love it so much. By the way, if you're watching this and you are thinking about buying or selling real estate, contact us. Our contact information is in the description. We'd love to chat with you. And don't forget to subscribe. We come on here every week and talk about real estate. We don't ever miss a week. Never.
No,
never. We
this
never
is
miss a
part
week.
of our work. This is part
every
of our
week.
schedule.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share one more, really quick.
I could do these every day. I could literally just sit on podcasts every day and just make content and just make videos with education purposes.
People would be like, go away.
No. This is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys haven't been around for a while, a little bit about our background is we started this podcast, Real Estate with Mariah and Spence, 2 years ago now? We're on year 2.
Spencer, I just saw on my Instagram, today I got a notification that exactly 2 years ago today was our first, well, it wasn't our first show, but it was my first post about our first show. So we literally have been every week. We've never missed a week. If we have, we do multiple shows. So we make up, schedule them out, whatever. Every single week for 2 years.
2-year anniversary.
High five.
Yeah, seriously. That's a big deal because I remember when we first got into this, we were just like a little nervous. We're like, what are we going to talk about? There's no way we can do this. And it was just once a week, that's so simple. And the fact that here's the difference though, that I've come to realize and love about this podcast is we're just kind of presenting what we're seeing today. What we saw this previous week, and then we get to bring it to the table, talk to you guys about it, and then also help you for when you want to buy or when you want to sell something. We're a service for you in the future. So these videos are never ending. Just because you missed last week, just because you weren't here a year ago, subscribe to this channel, review all of those previous videos, because it's very rare that we have a very specific video that's only for that month of the year. Our content really is revolving, and so you can look back at those things and say, oh, wow, that's a technique that I could be using as a buyer, or, okay, I'm preparing to sell my home. What should I do? Go to those videos. We have 2 years worth of content. Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay, so last but not least, a mistake I saw a buyer make. I had a family that was relocating to our area from out of state. They were moving from somewhere in Arizona, and they we got a house under contract, and they really loved the home. They were super excited to move into it. It was the home for this family. Great side of town, great neighborhood, great everything. And they quit their job. Their lender warned them not to. They had a fantastic lender. The lender warned them not to, but they didn't. They did it anyway. I don't know why, but they quit their job because they were moving here, if that makes sense, in the middle of the transaction. So they were towards the end of their transaction. So they stopped working at their job in Arizona and then started their new job in Oregon. And this was when, literally right before we were about to close. We went through inspections. We went through the appraisal. We went through everything. And it just threw the whole transaction off. And we had to completely start over. They had to start house hunting again. They couldn't get that house. The seller wasn't willing to wait. We had to restart the whole process. We had to go house hunting again. We had to find a new home. And it just was very unfortunate. So the mistake you don't want to make is not listening to your lender. If your lender tells you not to do something, you best not do it. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty important.
Yeah.
Listen to the professional. That's why we provide you with a team that surrounds you, and you have a team that surrounds yourselves. Listen to them. Use them as your support. You don't know exactly the rules, the regulations. Like, for instance, if you have a big cash check or something and you want to use that towards your down payment, well, ask your lender, hey, does this have to sit in an account? Can I just show up at closing with cash? Realize what you need to do with that big amount of money that you're using for the down payment, especially.
Yeah.
How can it be useful? Because I see a lot of people, though, they don't know really how to ferment their money. And what I mean by that is like season it. You know, if you're a grill master like me, I got the Traeger.
A grill master.
We gotta season the meat, right? We have to make a brine. We gotta season it so it tastes better. It's the same thing with money. You know, you gotta season it. You gotta know where to put it so it holds and it lasts, and then you can use it. Yeah,
very
grill master.
Philosophical of you.
Just came out of my head.
Okay.
I think this was good. Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with us this week. We will see you next week. And yeah, have a great New Year and New Year's Eve, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you in 2023.